Yo, guys, what's going on? Coach Jamie here, and I am so excited to have you here listening to my podcast, Make Time for Your Mind with Coach Jamie, where we will be talking about all things mindset, vulnerability, personal development, ways we can become better individuals. And sometimes in that process, we'll get heavy, sometimes we'll have fun, and sometimes I will be challenging your perspective. The goal, no matter what, though, is to leave you better than you were before you tuned in. So, with that being said, let's dive in. Oh, guys, welcome back to season 2, episode 3. Thank you all for being here. I know the last episode was kind of all over the place with a lot of different tactics and scenarios on all things decision making. But kind of piggybacking off of that is that um, there was someone when I was asking for feedback to start season 2. Um, I was asking what are some things that you guys would like me to talk about, and so I want to read what Katie had asked me or said that she would like me to talk about. And she said, I would like to know your thoughts on the cycle of starting something, giving up, starting another, giving up, starting, stopping, etc. Is it fear of failure? Commitment issues? I love this because and I feel it's super appropriate to discuss right after we talked about like kind of decision fatigue, is that I think it's amazing that we have so much access to information of personal development and growth and ways to become better individuals. But sometimes I also think, and I think I've mentioned this, it's like I literally say this quote about 60 times a week, and I'm pretty sure I dropped it multiple times last season. We need water to survive, but water can also kill us. And so sometimes all of this information overload, like I think that we're almost too aware of things and it's filling us with unnecessary junk. But again, it also serves us. So it's having kind of that proper discernment of when to lean into that and when not to. And so, Katie, if you're listening to this episode, and to anybody else who this can speak to, I want to kind of share a personal experience since it was asked of my thoughts on this. But then I want to kind of bring this back and make a couple of points after that. So, am I running from something? You know, whether it's like for me, it was quite literally like I wouldn't stay in a career for longer than like 2 or 3 years, or like I had a period of time where within the length of like 10 or 11 years, I had moved 13 times. Like I was constantly what I thought, would be running, because it was like something would be going really well. And then the second thing started going not so well. It was, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. Everything is wrong. I'm not in the right place. I need to move. I need to jump. I need to do whatever. And so I was constantly, quote unquote, running from something. And that was a really cool realization. Like when that concept was ever brought up to me, like I remember it was like a sermon that I had listened to like on YouTube, and it was like, no matter where you go, there you are. And so every time that I moved, like I was still stuck with me and who I was and what I was running from emotionally, like what I was thinking I deserved, what I didn't deserve, all of that. And so I do think in some ways that I was, quote unquote, running, whether it was because I was afraid of failure, whether it was because there was this deep underlying root of commitment issues. There's a good chance that I quite literally was running from something, expecting that life was going to get better if I was in a different environment. So all of that is true. And again, I think it's important to have enough self-awareness to see if that's something that you're doing. But my thoughts on it And this kind of, again, goes back to what I discussed on the last episode about just everything being figure outable. Like, yes, I may have been running from something, but it's like every time that I shifted careers, every time I moved to a new location and had to meet new people, like I had a choice within that on what I was learning from that experience. Was I willing to make the time to sit and learn who I was, who I no longer was, and who I wanted to be? And for me, I think that was where the big change happened. It was in me not getting caught up on whether I was justifying or not. It was, what can I learn from this situation? And to kind of tie all of that up, I guess, with that story is that, like, I am so grateful. Like, I may have mentioned this before on a past episode, but like it's like my least favorite question to get asked, but it's one of my favorites, is when somebody is like, you know, what's your biggest regret? Or if you could go back and tell your younger self like a piece of advice, what would it be? I'm like, I don't think I would. I don't really have any regrets because I learned a lot of things, even if it was the hard way. And it's things that I would never wish upon my worst enemy. Like, I'm so proud of who I have become because of that. And I now am grateful to say that I have all of these different experiences. You know, so younger Jamie may have been running from herself, her fear of failure, or like a fear of committing to something. And yes, I could totally let myself go down the rabbit hole of all of these things that I could have accomplished by now if I would have committed, if I wouldn't have run, if I wouldn't have moved. But then I'm wasting all of what I can be so proud of, but then also that I'm so excited for in the future, because I never would have wound up or had the courage to completely uplift myself and move to an entire state that I didn't even know Austin was like some poppin' city, y'all. Like I knew it was like the name of a Blake Shelton song, and I was pretty sure it was about a location being Austin, but then I was like, maybe it's about a person, because I'd never listened to the song all the way through. But like, I didn't know a single person. I did zero research before I just randomly left from Connecticut. So mind you, I'm from Ohio, and I was only in Connecticut for a year. I did zero research on like the safety or the population and the quality of experiences in life and ratings of what to do around the area. Like, I did none of that type of research. I literally Googled about a whole bunch of appointments between Texas, Colorado, and California. I had no idea where I wanted to go. And randomly I chose Austin because the guy called me back the next day and he was super cool on the phone. And so I gave everything away that I didn't own, loaded up my car, and just showed up and decided to start meeting people. Like, had I not been somebody who had created like jumping from thing to thing, I never would have had the guts to do something like that. And I never would have met the amazing people that I have met. I would never have been involved with the different nonprofits that I'm a part of now. And I don't think that I would be as good of a coach as what I am now. Who knows? Maybe I wouldn't even be sitting here having the willpower to want to randomly put together a podcast had I not have made all of these big decisions. So I think, you know, to drill this point home is that, yes, I think it's important to check yourself, right? Check your mirrors, your forward, backward, and right and front, right? Like, of your car is if you don't know what I'm talking about, clearly you didn't listen to the last episode. But is that like, I can use it to my advantage of, okay, this no longer is working, or now recognizing a pattern. Like, every time I quote unquote failed at something, or every time a relationship ended, or things started getting really hard in a relationship, if I start noticing that there's a pattern there where I'm giving up on something too easily, or if I all of a sudden now, like, say, like within the gym, or a job, right? Like, where it's like, oh, well, I was really passionate and I was really excited about it in the beginning, and now it's not as fun. So maybe this isn't my passion, and maybe this isn't my purpose. Well, if you're more now focused on just finding something that's going to quote unquote be your passion that you never experience bad days on, then yeah, maybe that's a sign that you're just running from hard moments. And so again, give yourself the space to sit and recognize any patterns, like write it down. Like, so Katie, thank you so much again for this topic, because if when you wrote that, there is something that you were thinking of in particular, whether it was a job, a location, a relationship, whatever it may be, like I'm sure that there was something in your brain which inspired you to ask that question. And so whatever that topic may be, and just this is the first one that comes to mind. So any of you guys that know me, I always just go with my gut and what happens. But like say it would be with like a relationship, right? Sit down and actually like write down the name of all of the people that you've been in relationships with or that you've been attracted to, and what didn't you like about the relationships? What did you like about the relationships? What was the duration of each one of those relationships? What qualities did you bring to the table in that relationship? What qualities did the other person bring in the relationship? What was missing from that relationship? Why were you so drawn to that relationship? Why did you all of a sudden want to leave that relationship? Like literally ask yourself all of these questions for each individual relationship that you can think of up to this point. Then go through and literally circle the commonalities. And if you notice like, oh, well, I end up being with somebody who doesn't show me much effort, but I like the challenge. And I was drawn to the challenge or the potential of them. But then they always ended up seeming to do this in the beginning. But then by month 3, they no longer do. And then this shifts, or this is all of a sudden the point where I start getting insecure. And this is all of a sudden what I was hoping they were going to do and they didn't do. Right now, you're going to start to kind of assess, is it really something that is, again, that you're like running from, or is it just because of like the old habits of naturally being drawn to that thing because that's where familiarity lies, right? So hopefully all of that is helpful. I know I kind of went off on a random tangent of a way to potentially, I tried to put myself in the shoes of potentially someone that would be feeling that way, and what I would essentially try to tell them on a coaching call of how to handle that, of like, again, you have to sit with this all for yourself. Like nobody is going to know that answer for you. I'm never going to be this person who's going to step in and say, this is how you need to approach this. This is why you run, and this is why this is a problem. Like, no, because I don't know your whole story. I don't know where your processing is on that. And maybe this is something that you are meant to learn on your journey. Maybe this is something you have to figure out on your own, but you have to be willing to. And so again, it's great that you have all of this information that's coming at you to make you be aware of these type of questions. But now is the time to take action and really sit with this. How does this apply to me? What do I really feel is the fear here? What are the patterns here? So all of that to say, I want to leave you all with a call to action. And I want you to write down, what are some of the patterns in my life, right? If you are somebody that feels like you're fearing a failure, or you fear commitment, or you feel like you're running from something, or whether it's the appropriate time to start or stop something, write down, what are my patterns? Have I done something like this before? When was the last time I felt this way, and what was happening at that time to cause me to feel that way? And how does that relate to how I'm feeling now? So recognize the patterns and truly ask yourself, what is it that I'm really afraid of? Like, sit with yourself. And again, because I like to kick dead horses, that is so morbid to actually say out loud. But you know the phrase. You know I don't actually kick dead horses. I don't even kick horses that are alive. I don't kick horses. But hypothetically, we're going to kick a dead horse here. And set a freaking timer. Set a timer. And write this stuff down. And again, the bonus is always as accountability. If you would prefer, I'm always available in my DMs, my emails, whatever, depending how, when you know me, what access you have to me. Find me, message me, let me hold you accountable. Reach out, tell me what it was that you processed, or if you're feeling stuck within that process. Hello. This is what I do day in and day out, and I'm happy to assist if this is something that's hard to navigate alone. So, um, either way, let me know. And I know that by the time this podcast comes out, it's only going to be a couple weeks away, but I wanted to just drop it one more time that in March of 2024, I am running my Unleash and Refuel Panama retreat in the country of in Santa Catalina, Veraguas, Panama. It is a week-long wellness retreat doing all things of being able to recharge, to just decompress, get rid of some junk, experience amazing things like yoga, surf, mindset workshops, snorkeling, private island that we get to hang out on, a beautiful view of the beach, just disconnected from reality, and a chance to just kind of get your head back on straight, to come back to everyday life and just appreciate it more and be ready to go and having more clarity on that journey. If that's something that you're interested in, make sure you let me know. The early bird pricing to that ends September 30th. Spots are limited because this is a very, very just cute little tranquil area that is not a very big location. So make sure you speak soon before spots are filled. So all that to say, I appreciate you guys as always. And feedback is always welcome. I always want to make sure that I can do whatever I can to best serve you guys. So let me know how that is. Share this with somebody that you think would benefit from it. And with love and gratitude, Coach Jamie out.